I speak to you in the name of the one holy and living God. Well, the words of that prophet, 3rd Isaiah, certainly ring true for us at Church of the Apostles this morning. For I am about to create new heavens and a new earth. Former things shall not be remembered, they shall not come to mind, but be glad and rejoice for the things I am creating. And so we sigh, we scratch our heads. We feel that sort of queasy feeling inside, The world as we know it is coming to an end. Now, as many of you are aware, next Sunday will be my final Sunday serving as your priest, your pastor, and your vicar. We will have a special liturgy for departing clergy, during which I will return the gifts of ministry to you. And with that, all of us will begin a season of transition, an extended time of liminal kind of in-between space during which we feel sort of wobbly and things are elusive. And in such unsettling times, we may be tempted to look for a prophet or a palm reader to predict the future for us. We want to ask, so what are the new heavens and the new earth that is being born here at Church of the Apostles? And by the way, when is this going to happen? And what are the signs that we will see? I'd like to suggest that rather than setting our sights on a soothsayer, perhaps it would serve better for us to pause, swallow deeply, and set our voices to the first song of Isaiah, our canticle this morning. Surely it is God who saves us. We will trust in God and not be afraid. We will trust in God and not be afraid because, you see, the things of God are permanent. And everything else is impermanent. Everything changes dramatically. And I believe this is the message that Jesus offers us in today's gospel text from Luke. Referring to the beautiful temple buildings and the sacred objects therein, Jesus says, as for all of these things that you can see, the day will come when not a single stone will stand upon another. All will be thrown down. Now, I want to be perfectly clear. Not for a minute do I think that Jesus' words are a doomsday divination. Rather, Jesus is offering us a sound and sane, pragmatic bit of good sense. All created things, all things visible, and that includes me and you, the earth, the stars, and Church of the Apostles. All things visible are impermanent and subject to change, even dramatic change. This is non-negotiable. The illuminating words of the theoretical physicist Carlo Rovelli describe something I want to share with you, and I quote him: "A colorful and amazing world we have here where universes explode. Space collapses into bottomless holes. Time sags and it sort of slows near a planet. And the unbounded extensions of interstellar space, they ripple and sway like the surface of the sea. And all of this is not a tale told by an idiot in a fit of lunacy or hallucination. Revelli assures us this is a glimpse of reality. All created things, all things change and change dramatically. So when we take Revelli's description and we apply it to the planet on which we plant our feet, well, we step smack into Jesus' apocalyptic assertions. The first one we've already mentioned. Speaking about the temple, there will be not a single stone remaining upon another. And Jesus continues. It gets a bit more dramatic here. There will be wars and insurrections, earthquakes, famines, and plagues. You will be arrested and persecuted and betrayed even by family and friends. Things get shaken up a bit. People get edgy and weird. Yes, all things change and change dramatically. But do not worry, or do not look for a fortune teller. Don't bother to prepare a defense in advance, because Jesus counsels, I give you your words and your wisdom. I give you your words and your wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to contradict you. So I want to tell you a story about a sort of apocalyptic moment during which I felt as if I was being brought to trial before a king and his governors. Now, the 24 governors were actually 23 white-collared Episcopal priests. You can laugh, that's okay. One lay person, the only other woman in the room, and the singular stand-in for the king was, of course, the purple-shirted bishop. So this was the situation. This illustrious body is the Commission on Ministry, fondly referred to as the CALM, not to be confused with the word C-A-L-M, calm, because there's nothing calm about the CALM, but that's a digression. So this meeting with the CALM followed a year of discernment with members of my Episcopal parish before they recommended to our rector that I be presented as an aspirant for holy orders, called to the priesthood. So after the rector interviewed me, he sent me to the bishop for an initial screening and for me to declare what's called, make a declaration of my intent. Well, the bishop accepted me as an aspirant, and I continued discernment with the parish and was nominated and applied for postulancy. And that's just the next step in myriad steps toward being ordained to the priesthood. So the postulancy hinges not only upon completing mountains of forms and doing them on time, but also composing countless essays, on top of which you must endure the most invasive executive medical evaluation I'd ever had, a thorough financial review, an extensive criminal background check. I was surprised I got through that, right? And the most extensive psychiatric evaluation known to humankind. And because I had been a clinical psychologist, they had to give me all these alternate tests that were really, really long. So having navigated the sea of hoops, I finally landed in the upstairs diocesan conference room, waiting to be interviewed by the bishop and the 24 members of the CALM. Now, standing outside of that room, this is what's happening. Okay, God, this is not working. I can't do this. I am utterly and completely terrified. God, you know that there's a reason I was never even considered being a lawyer, because I don't like being questioned. I don't like having to be on the spot, and I'm really bad at it. When that happens, I can never think of what to say. God, I'm like Moses. I can't do this. But if you want me to be a priest in your church, then give me the words, because I really, really, really can't do this. Well, they called me into the room. And following the briefest of introductions and absolutely no small talk, that river of questions began to flow. So I listened carefully to each question, paused and closed my eyes, waited for a response and opened my eyes and spoke. And much to my delight, it seemed to be going all right. To my surprise, actually. And that was until 3 seats down from me, the Reverend Daniel leans back in his chair, crosses his arms, and says, "So, Deborah, tell us, what is your vision for the church?" Well, my heart almost stopped, and I think they could have heard me gulp when I sort of choked out, do you mean like capital C church? Yes. Well, I paused, I closed my eyes, waited for a response, and there was nothing. Nothing. Not a single thought, not even a distracting thought, not a single word. And after a while, I thought, well, wonder how long I'll sit here with my eyes closed before someone taps me on the shoulder and tells me to go away. And I sat, and it was empty, and it was empty, and it was empty, until I couldn't sit there another minute. I knew my time had expired, and I was certain my heart was going to explode like a volcano through my chest. So I opened up my eyes and outpoured this flood of words. Boatloads of words. I cannot recall a single one of the words. I never could recall those words. And eventually the words stopped, and there was utter silence. And I looked around the room, and I couldn't read anybody. I had no idea what happened. No idea what they were thinking. Fortunately, the bishop finally said, "Well, thank you, Deborah, you may leave now." So as quickly as I possibly could, I gathered myself and I almost ran out of the room, and I was charging down the hallway to descend the steps into what I was sure was my abject failure. And I hear behind me, "Deborah, wait," and turn around, and it's the bishop. And he's walking toward me. And I'm so paralyzed, I don't even move. I just stood there. And he came up to me and extended his hand, put his other arm on my shoulder. He said, "Well, you knocked the ball out of the park." And I almost fell down the stairs. I mean, literally. And God says to all of us, "I will give you your words and your wisdom. For nothing will be impossible with God." Nothing. All of this I share with you, dear people of God. Because when challenge and change and moments that we think are absolutely apocalyptic and we cannot possibly navigate them, when they're upon us, do not panic. When unwelcome changes come to our church and things get kerfuffled and people are not there, or there are too many there, or whatever is going wrong, or things aren't happening the way you think they ought to happen, do not panic. Because you see, when we choose to put our faith in the one and only thing that is unchanging, the one and only thing that is permanent and utterly trustworthy, the unborn, undying, eternally all that is that we call God, nothing will be impossible. And not a hair on our heads will perish. And by our endurance, we will gain our souls and the soul of Church of the Apostles. Amen.